Hi, this is Maurice, Benard, and Anna Damergis. Welcome to the Maurice and Anna Show. All right. We're on the Maurice and Anna Show. I keep wanting to say the Maurice and Maurice Show, but the Anna has to jump in there. You know?
I can only handle one of you, please. Not a second, Maurice. Leave him at home, please.
So this show is kind of if you're, feeling a certain way, or if you're having a bad day.
Definitely a certain way.
Right. You're tired of looking at the news and you want to laugh and you want to have some joy.
And not cry.
Well, with me, sometimes we can get in that, but not on this show. On my other show, State of Mind, we do cry quite a bit. Mm-hmm. But it's all right for men to cry, though.
I think it's fine.
Your tears are your strength, not your weakness.
I love it.
All right. Who do we got today,
Ooh,
Anna?
I am so excited because I was introduced to this woman many, many years ago, and I saw her on Instagram and I said, oh my God, I have to connect with her. I just fell in love with her from the minute I met her all those years ago. And I said, maybe there's an opportunity here to work with her. And I reached out and she got back to me immediately. This is world-renowned relationship therapist, TV host, and sex therapist, Simone Bienne. Absolutely gorgeous and fabulous. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, both of you, for having me.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm so happy to be reconnected with you.
Me too.
Sorry, there's a love fest going
There
on
is.
here,
Beautiful.
but it's
I love
really,
it.
Yes.
you're such an incredible woman.
Thank
You're
you.
such a role model.
Thank you.
I hope you know that.
I appreciate that. Well, when I had met Simone, we were in a therapy setting for a TV show on marriage therapy, right? Like something like that.
Couples therapy,
right?
Yeah.
And my marriage was not in a good place. But I love Simone, and it was with Dr. Drew as well. And I'm a huge fan of hers, and she has so much valuable advice to give to people who are in relationships that may need advice. So we are so blessed to have you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And Dr. Drew's amazing.
He is amazing. So
And
maybe he'll come on the
He's a good
show.
guy.
Well,
Yeah.
I told her, I won't get into it, but I did a Zoom during the pandemic with Dr. Drew. Mm-hmm. And there's a secret that he doesn't even know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, see, if you tell Drew there's a secret. The funny thing is about Drew, actually, you can't tell Drew a secret. You can't tell him before he sits
Right.
down in this chair.
Exactly.
Because he's not good at holding secrets.
No.
However, the secret that you shared will stay with me. I will not tell Drew. I will tell Drew to get his bottom here.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that. That would be
He will come.
amazing. But you're here right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you. Tell us what you're doing, what you've been doing. Tell us everything we need to know that you want to share.
I'm gonna say the last 2 years have been brutal. And so I have I've experienced a lot of trauma myself, which it's made me better at my job and my work and my passion. And so I've been now just this year sort of building my strength, writing a book with two amazing comedy writers, actually. So it's going to be it's a self-help memoir, but they're co-creators of the Silicon Valley, the TV show. So it's going to be a very dark, funny, let's smile through tragedy book, and that's my world at the moment. And seeing clients as well, and using my experiences and helping women and men, not make the same mistakes that I have with my expertise as well. So
I love that. So
nice
Maurice has
combination.
been married over 30 years, which is an anomaly, especially in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Because that just shows it just shows how much you know yourself.
Yeah, I
And how
met her
much
when
you're
she
willing to
was
work.
16 and I was 21. And wow. And we've been together ever since. And people always say, you never been with another woman in 30, and I said, listen, I just know how much I have to lose. And it's just too much. Aside from the love and all that, I just feel like with my family and everything, there's no way I could be with another woman.
And you have to meet Paula because she's pretty magnificent.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but
I can imagine.
It's and she's been with me, through everything, all my mental illness and real tough times, and always stuck by me. Always says, "You're stronger than you know."
Oh. It's so interesting having somebody right by you. It's knowing that you've got somebody who has your back is the secret to happiness. There was a happiness study that went over 7 decades, and even I can't remember which president, they haven't announced it yet, but there was a president even that was interviewed for it, and the biggest thing that came out for the secret to happiness and longevity was having somebody who has your back. And it's so interesting in the States, and I imagine it will be world over as well. So many people do not feel, even in marriages, that their partner has their back.
Right.
And that is a lonely place to be. Relationships is so interesting. I was reading old notes that I was working on, and having a bad relationship is the equivalent, or not having healthy relationships is the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
Wow.
Damn.
So, isn't it interesting? So, like, healthy relationships, like, improve your brain, improve your health, and you'll.
Yeah, and it seems like, I don't know, lately, a lot of divorces, a lot of bad things going on with relationships. More so than I can only judge from I've been on General Hospital for 30 years. So I can judge by the decades, right? I've never seen it this bad. I don't know if something's happening in the last 5 years or whatever.
Well, during COVID, I heard that divorces went up 50% because people were not escaping through their work, and now they had to stay at home and face each other, and that became a challenge.
Yeah, and rightly so. I mean, during COVID, how we were not even encouraged, but forced to face ourselves. And there's an upside to that as well.
Yes.
There is. We can't hide forever. And then recognizing, actually, hold on a minute, this isn't the relationship that I want to create.
Yeah.
I mean, that becomes really important, and the relationship with themselves. The difficulty is when people think it is the other person,
Right.
when they're always looking outside of themselves and, I'm not happy, or I'm not excited, I'm not fulfilled that way. That's never going to work, because that mistake, that thinking is like cause and effect. You want to be on the cause side of life or the effect side of life. And if we're on the cause side of life, like you, Maurice, in the sense, I know you are, and I know you are, simply because you have a marriage that's lasted 30 years, and you've been through and faced mental illness.
Yes.
And come through the other, look at you,
Yeah.
such an
It's
inspiration.
Very
Success
true.
story, really,
Yes.
right?
The pandemic had forced many people who have said, he's depressed, just go to sleep, or he's got, what's anxiety? People felt it for the first time during the pandemic and said, oh, now I know what it is. And even myself, and this is something that I learned, I kept my kids hidden from what I was going through. And during the pandemic, I couldn't hide or run. So they had to see me in the state. And it was horrible, because I wouldn't come out of the room, but I have to come out of the room to go eat. And then we'd all be at the table, everybody's happy, and I'm over here dying. And what it taught me was I should have let them see it early on.
No should. Do not should over yourself. Sorry, I'm going to be bossy.
Yeah, good. I love that.
Love that.
We can't, and that's in neuroscience. It's called cognitive dissonance, where we think we have the mind that we had now back then.
Right.
You didn't.
No.
It's now you can see, gosh, actually, I wonder what, think about it. I wonder what would have happened if I had, shown shown myself earlier. The timing was just right.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because look at where you are today.
Yes. Yeah.
And how is the relationship with your children now that they've seen the whole of you?
It's funny. That's a
the
good
darker side.
Yeah, it's like my daughters. One time, my daughter was having a panic attack during the COVID. And I was dying literally for months, and she needed my help. So when she first called me, I'm like, she goes, "Dad, I'm having a panic." I'm like, well, I'm dying. I don't know how I'm going to help you. I didn't say that, but then I went out there and I did actually help her. And it was, I felt good for just the moment that I was able to help her, right?
Took you out of yourself for a minute.
Yeah. And then my son, though, but I don't really talk to my daughters about it much, but my son really was there for me like my wife. One time I said to my son, I was crying, I said, "I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm not going to be able to do it." He goes, "Yeah, you are, Dad." And I said, "No, I'm not." And he says, "You are, because I'm going to get you through it." And I said, and he did. He helped me. You all right, Dad? Because we're going to leave. Are you going to be all right? And it was very, very cool. So it's what it is, mental illness.
It's so fantastic that we're talking about it. I've just come back from the UK, and in the UK, there's a lot of mental illness, and I think we're behind in the sense that we don't talk about it as openly. What's happening now through sport, I'm a big soccer fan, through soccer, soccer players talking about mental illness, people like yourself here talking about mental illness. It's so important for men because, the suicide rates for men way higher than
way.
Yeah, because culturally men aren't allowed. That's why I think soccer is so good, because men can actually express their emotions. We were talking about crying earlier, where they can cry, they can laugh, they can scream, they can be angry. And it goes the same for normal, for sports as well. Absolutely. Whereas there isn't an acceptable vehicle outside of, it seems, sports for men to be able to do that.
So in the games, they can cry and everything, but when they go home, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, exactly. Then they are the man, whatever that means. And we've got to break these stereotypes because it's
unhealthy.
It's unhealthy. Then men in relationships feel like they
can't be emotional
and can't be themselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but is that from the upbringing? Because my dad was very. Don't cry. Look at it, he's crying. Making fun of me.
Yeah, come on, big boys don't cry.
Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah.
That culture, right? Okay, what is it you want to talk about now, Anna Damergis?
I want to talk about dating after divorce.
Ooh,
right?
That's a hot one.
I know. It's very interesting.
How's it been for you?
Interesting. First of all, I'm not on any of the apps. I will tell you that.
Have you ever been on
I
any
have
of the apps?
been on the apps. I've actually met a couple of nice people who I'm still friends with, and then a couple of jerks that I'm not friends with, obviously. But I don't like the whole app thing because a lot of fake people and fake accounts and people acting as somebody that they're not and catfishing and all that stuff. But I have met some really nice people that we've decided, we're not going to date. We're just going to be friends, which is kind of cool. but I prefer to meet people in person or through somebody else. So I find it interesting because things have changed so much since the time I was married until now. So I don't really know what considers one dating, or do you date until you decide to commit? I don't know how any of that works. When do you sleep with somebody? I don't know. But for me, I have to be very comfortable and safe with somebody for that to happen. I just do not sleep around, and I'm sure Maurice knows that because he sees my car home every night.
Yeah, you don't sleep around.
And I just find it an interesting time. What do you think is happening out there for women after divorce?
Well, my goodness, it's a big pill to swallow. And talk about humility, because I think it's difficult. I think dating, it's so interesting. People have said, oh, dating in Los Angeles is
Right.
so difficult, so difficult. And I've when I was in a relationship, I was like, oh, no. They're on the effect side of life. They're just giving reasons. And I think dating anywhere is difficult. And, just imagine when you get to a certain age, we come with so much more. I don't want to call it baggage because it isn't baggage, but we come with so much more, so much more experience and so much more heartache, I think, where we have learned difficult lessons. And so it takes a minute to be able to get beyond our fear. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I would say is, dating after divorce is really being able to focus on not just the person, but the relationship that you want to create, because it's so easy for us to say, oh, this person is great, or he's, tall, blonde, handsome, tall, short, dark, whatever the type may be. Oh, and he's so good on paper. What do you want to create in a relationship? So you're actually taking yourself into account as well.
Right. But I feel like for me, I learned after my last relationship that I need time to heal myself so I don't continue to attract the same person with a different face. Right? So I don't want to attract that same person that's going to do the same thing to me or similar that the other person, and I don't want to say done to me, but or I allowed them to treat me, or how I allowed them to treat me, right? So I took a lot of time to work on myself, go into therapy, heal myself, be by myself, to listen to my own voice within my head, because I found that in the marriage that I was in, and I'm not talking bad about him, but just for me, I could not be myself within the marriage. And I think that's probably why your relationship has lasted so long, because the two of you can be yourselves within the marriage. And I think that that is so important. And the minute that I feel that I have to adapt, change, suppress who I am as a human being, then I know that person is not for me, because at this age in my life, I am never going to change who I am to make somebody feel more comfortable. Either you love me or you don't. Either you like me or accept me and you don't. And I don't mean it with disrespect. I just mean like, this is who I am. Embrace that and be okay with it, like I would with you. Have the same respect. Because we are who we are, especially at this age. But I've learned to notice the red flags much quicker.
Great.
Because I'm like, yes, no. And I also say, this is what I'm willing to accept in a person. This is what I'm willing not to accept, especially because I do have an 8-year-old son who that person's life is now going to affect my life. And if you can't bring more happiness to my life, then I don't need you to be my problem. So you have better done the work on yourself and continue to do the work on yourself, because I want the same from you that I'm giving. There has to be an equal distribution of energy, love, and care.
You're going to meet someone amazing.
Well, I appreciate that.
You're done dating the 20-year-olds, and is that weird?
I didn't date a 20-year-old. He is such a troublemaker. I swear to God.
You can date the 20-year-olds. That's absolutely fine. It's just
Being in a relationship
Yeah.
with them.
That's true.
We have another show, so maybe you can be a contestant on it or another person on it. So it's called Celebrity Date Crasher.
Oh,
so
yeah.
basically, he interviews all the potentials as you're dating them, and then he helps you find the one. What do
oh
you
my
think?
gosh, amazing! I love it.
It's great.
It's fantastic.
I walk in with a maybe a suit.
And then they're like, wait a minute, aren't you like on General Hospital, the bad guy? So that's kind of where I'm at. The minute, personally, for me, I don't want to be with somebody who has not been divorced for a while because I don't want somebody who relationship hops.
Yes, it goes from one
Right.
to the next.
Because that tells me they are not healed.
It's interesting though. It can work, and the only reason I say this is
Tell me.
that I remember an old boss of mine when I worked in radio, and his wife died, and he.
I know, but the wife died.
Right. Okay. Okay. But
And I'm
then
not
he
laughing
went.
that she died. God forgive me. I'm not laughing at that. I'm just saying the way the relationship ended was different, right?
This
There was
is
a
true.
finalization, right? So
Yes.
he didn't have a bad divorce. He didn't have a toxic marriage, maybe, but the people or the men that I've met, they've come from these toxic relationships, so they are jumping from one woman to another, maybe, and maybe they just haven't given themselves time to do the work, do the therapy, just not to be with somebody, to be with somebody.
That's the key. Doing the work, doing the therapy, and I am on the apps and have a love, dispassionate relationship with the apps, because sometimes it is like, oh my goodness, it's not about being a pen pal, but it's like my friend started laughing when I said to her, I don't even listen to the take note of the names anymore, that sounds really awful because they're here and then they go,
Right.
and then anyway,
And then you're
But
talking
in
to 10 different people. I don't know.
But in
Yeah,
those apps, I just talked to somebody. I won't say who, but they're on an app and they're talking. Everything's great, and then they get blocked.
What?
Yeah, what is that about? Like I'm talking to some girl, let's say, and all of a sudden we're having a great conversation. Let's meet up. Let's have some dinner. Great. And then next thing I know, she's blocking me.
Oh, wow.
That's what happens with these things?
I don't know. I'm not on them.
Well, on one of the apps, you can't hide them. You have to literally block them or unmatch them, which is a fault.
Unmatch, right. 'Cause
Yes.
then they see that you unmatched them.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not cool, man.
No, it's much better to hide
Right.
them so they don't come up within your feed. But it is it's interesting after my I'll call it a fake marriage, and I don't.
Right.
There's a reason that I'm writing a book, but after that, I went on the apps, and I know that I was not ready. I was just trying to prove, and I don't think I'm ready now, really. But I was just trying to prove that, my goodness, am I still attractive? Will I be
Oh my God,
okay?
you're gorgeous, please.
And it was, and then I realized, okay, this is not. This short-term gain is not the answer.
Yeah,
and I met a very good friend from that experience,
See?
which is lovely, and he's become sort of like a really, really close friend. But yeah, it takes
I'd like
a
to
hot
meet him.
minute. Oh, he's funny. His name is Nick, and he's hilarious.
Aw.
He's a good man.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
So what do you think about sex and dating? Is there too soon time to do it? Because Steve Harvey says you got to wait 3 months.
Oh, God. 3 months in a dog's lifetime.
How does that work?
I think it really depends on the individual, and I don't mean that as a cop out. If you can have sex with someone and you're being safe and you want to engage physically like that, and you're going to walk away or you're going to connect with them not just because you've had sex, then I say, great, have sex. I think that's wonderful. And I don't think there's a set amount of time. Whether you have sex on the first night or the 3 months down the line, you can still get anxiously attached to somebody,
right,
and think that sex is a much deeper connection than it actually is, whether it is day one or 3 months in. And actually 3 months in can be even worse, because it can suddenly mean so much more than it potentially is.
Oh, interesting.
So I think it's again, the self-care and knowing yourself is really, really important. But I don't prescribe to you have to wait till you have 1 minute. I think you have to wait until you are emotionally secure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way too. Yeah. And what about friends with benefits topic?
Oh my goodness. Now this, I have got to tell you this. Oh, this guy was so hot.
See?
He was so hot. And in my fantasy, I was like, right, I'm going to go for this. This is like freedom. I can do this. And then I am not joking. I replied back to him because this guy had written, just want to be honest, looking for, on his actual profile, looking for a friends with benefit relationship. And I was like, this is what, I'm not ready for a deep relationship. I can do this. And then I spoke to my friend Claire, and after she was like, you cannot do that. And I was like, no, I cannot do that. So I literally wrote back going, yeah, okay, my fantasy is I want to be the type of person that can do this, but no, because someone was like, you do realize that it means going around to somebody's house and you're not getting any of the whining or dining, you're not getting any of the fantasy, any of the pretend stuff.
Right.
It's literally going around, and I was like, no, not me. Done and done. So that ended that little fantasy, which is probably just as well. And I have to go and meditate now and become a monk.
That's interesting, though, to me.
Isn't it? But I know people that do it.
If someone can do
works
it,
for them.
fantastic. Were they friends to begin with?
No.
And are they genuinely friends? Because
Right.
I actually think, like with this chap, I was like, would you genuinely be, not my friend, but would I want you to genuinely be my
But
friend?
what if they were friends to begin with?
Then I think that is more
It's not-
than...
I have a guy friend that does that with a friend of his, and he's like, we're just friends.
Yeah,
Then I think that's a much more of a solid foundation. Otherwise, we may as well just call it what it is. It is hooking up.
yeah.
Right.
Let's not pretend,
Right.
to put a
But
bow
Anna,
on
I
it.
can't believe you didn't discuss something here. And we can still talk about this, so right now. This show was based.
Oh, right.
I mean, this show was based on people saying to me, I can't be friends with Anna.
Right.
Because she's, attractive and, she's going to ruin your marriage. And
Oh, my God.
well, I'm just exaggerating a little bit. But, something's going to happen and, but she's Paula's friend and my friend. And I have to be honest with you, when I first, in all my life, I've said that two people can't be friends in a marriage. Have a friend that's
No,
attractive.
people- right.
Because eventually something's going to happen. But now I can tell you nothing's going to happen, and I know as a fact it's not. So that's how, what do you think? See, this is the stuff that
That's true.
With two people who know themselves, and that is rare, with two people that know themselves,
all right.
then absolutely you can have male and female friends.
That's exactly the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
And Paula is so busy all the time, and she doesn't feel left out. And we know each other real well ourselves, and then we know each other too. And it's cool.
Yep.
And that's how this show started.
Yep. That's how it started.
That's very
We have
cool.
these deep conversations, and he gives me advice. I listen to what he says, and he likes it.
Yeah, she's a good listener. You better be a good
But
listener.
you two now, it's like your friendship really, it seems,
Brother, sister?
yeah.
Yeah, very much.
And, you know, brother, sister, paternal,
Yeah.
just a real,
Yeah.
not, you know, a real, and maternal as
No,
well.
we look out for each
Yeah.
other for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't have to, I could just look at him and he knows what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And I pretty not much can read him really well, but he'll just call me on the phone and go, "What's wrong? What happened?" I hear it in your voice. Like,
Oh, I can hit, yeah. And I'm
But I'm
on,
not fake.
and I am very honest with you. Like,
Something that is so important, and Maurice, I don't know whether you know how important your role is in Anna's life. After divorce, having that male energy, having that male
Oh, yeah.
friend,
yeah, I'm not aware of that.
my goodness, I think that is one of the things that I would say to, you know, if I focus on women and likewise with men, get a really, really great friend, fulfill that role in your life, so you're not doing what I did, you know, last January, December, January, where it was just, you know, I need to prove to myself, and I wanted male company. I love men so much,
Right.
and now I have, you know, a host of male friends that have become so important to me.
Right.
That it's it fulfills that wonderful, powerful
Yeah.
male energy
Right,
in
for
our lives.
But I don't want her to have any other male friends. Just me.
Now you sound like my friend Nick, so you two will get on really well.
So, what do you want to talk about?
Let's talk about sex.
Baby.
Yeah.
Let's talk about sex, right? Okay. What do we talk about? How important is sex? That's a cliche question, but in a marriage, I believe it's very important, but without getting too personal, I think it's less important now for me than it used to be.
And when you say now, in comparison to when?
Right now, it's 60.
Yeah.
Than it was at 40 and 50 and 30 and 20 and 15. You know what I mean? I just think, and it's a good thing, trust me, that I think that right now.
And what has taken its place?
Wow. That's a very loaded question, man.
Outside of sex, what's taken? Where do you get that connection from?
The fulfillment.
Yeah.
I just feel like in a real good way, it's not on my mind every second. You know?
Every 30 seconds.
No, it's crazy. And I think it's really good for my wife that I have gotten to this place. Because before, and I've talked about this on State of Mind, one show only, with 2 actors. Before, it was like I wanted to have sex whenever I wanted to have sex. And that was just the way it was going to be, kind of. It's not fair, I think, to the... And now, as I've gotten older, there are many things that are more important. And there was nothing more important to me than sex growing up.
Shows how you have expanded your identity as a man, because and as a human, right? And
Evolved.
yeah, and to a higher state, to a higher state of being. And interestingly, in Indian culture, when people reach their 60s, I think in certain areas they literally are encouraged to go off into the woods or the mountains and work on your spirituality, because that that becomes more important. The essence of who you are and who you are within the relationship, it sounds like, as well.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Really fantastic. It's so interesting because many women, not all women, many women do not understand what it is like for a man when he is, and when I say high on testosterone, I mean he has high testosterone levels.
Yeah.
And literally will think about sex so much. There was a book I read years ago when I was training, and this woman was in her 40s, I think, and was taking testosterone. And she said she was a sex therapist, and she said it was the first time she actually understood what men felt like when they had, like, oh my God, I can't think about anything else. It's like on my mind. And so when you say you wanted sex, it's
Right.
I understand it. It's real. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
that testosterone is horrible. It's just like,
It's a real thing.
it is a real
It's
thing.
a driving force.
Yeah, but
Now, interestingly, I will share that I through being 20, I've had testosterone. I've added into my hormone palette, shall we say, and I experienced what it feels like to really enjoy and want sex, and which is great as a single woman right now. It's fantastic. However, when you feel it, and thank goodness there are.
Thank God you could feel it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. My sex life now is the best it's ever been.
well, what is it? Pills or a shot or what?
It's actually a pellet, and it's injected into. It looks like a little rice, and it was Dr. Drew that told me about it. And he was like, "You're not depressed. You're not depressed. I think your hormones are out of whack." And the truth is, I was depressed, and my hormones were out of whack, which isn't a great combination.
Wow.
And now it's fantastic because I'm working on being a lot less depressed.
Yes.
Working on fulfillment and being whole, and together with that, enjoying enjoying my sexuality. And as a woman who's in her late 40s, I feel absolutely, can't believe I said that. This is good, empowering. Look at what you do.
amazing.
Yeah. I feel incredible, and I
you look
really
incredible.
want. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, she does.
Thank you both so much. I really want people to know it's not the end. It's so interesting when we think about sex in our 40s, 50s. It's never going to be the same as it was in our 20s and 30s. To me, it's so much better.
So yeah, Anna's very quiet right now.
I'm just learning.
No, I know you are, but what's your feeling on what we're talking
Look
about?
at this. This is
What's your
one
feeling?
woman.
I'm learning. I don't know. That's why I have Simone on, so I can
So do you
have
need
her
to-
fill in the blanks.
But do you need testosterone?
I haven't had my testosterone tested.
Really?
No, I haven't.
Because that sounds cool.
Listen, let's get checked. I'm just saying, it sounds fabulous.
No, but you would.
But
What you should say is,
Which-
no, I don't need testosterone.
Well, what I will say
That-
is
that-
that I've never been happier. I've never felt more secure with who I am as a woman. And I am just getting started. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
see,
the-
and that's so interesting because when we get to as you were saying, the more confident we feel, the more at peace we are with ourselves, at one we are with ourselves, then the greater the sexual experience. I think that is important, and it's really interesting, and it's so important to be with somebody who has the ability to be open with sex as well. And when I'm talking about open with sex, I don't mean
Promiscuous. You just
doing
mean-
23 different
Right.
positions or anything like that. It's much more. It means open about who they are, because I want somebody, and I want people to be able to connect with much more of themselves than when they are in the bedroom or on the couch, wherever it may be.
That's right.
Then they're going to bring more of themselves.
Right.
That sensitivity is really important.
Yeah, very.
And again, if we talk about men and sensitivity, my goodness, it's so interesting. When I have interviewed men, behind closed doors, where no one is, and asking them, about their relationship and where they met, and they will remember, what their partner was wearing and, what she said, and they can be far more romantic, interestingly, than women.
Wow.
And the sensitivity, my goodness, of men is phenomenal, which is why I see so many men with sex issues, because they are sensitive. They don't have an outlet for their sensitivity.
Emotions.
Yeah, for their emotions. And as a result, where does it express itself? In an area that is, their identity.
Yeah. It's funny when I, the last 2-3 years when I haven't needed the sex like I used to have, my whole life changed. I mean, among other things, right, that happened to me. But my life has been better since I've been feeling that.
I'm going to ask you a personal question. You don't have to answer.
Yeah.
Is the sex that you have now better than the sex that you used to have 3 years ago? Or shall I say, sorry, not better, different?
Yeah, it's different. It's not necessarily better, but it's so much better that I don't need it.
Yeah.
Okay? Because when I was young, there was all kinds of stuff going on with me. And I thought that was the only way. Right?
Yeah.
But it was too much ego, I think. What do I do and how I do it and this and this and that. And now I don't, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter. I love my wife, and that's the most important thing.
See, my hunch is, even though I'm not in your bedroom, my hunch is that your sex is on a different level. The sex that you're having is on a different level because as you say, you've gone beyond just that physical desire.
Yeah.
And when you're so driven by that, and that's all you can see, then it becomes it is going to be one dimensional.
I get
and
you.
I'm not saying it's not going to be fantastic.
Yes, you're absolutely
one-dimensional,
right. I should have had this conversation on State of Mind.
Well, you can bring her on State of Mind.
Yeah, I'll come on stage.
Criminy.
You can invite
This
her
is
on.
a really good conversation. Yeah,
It's an important conversation as well.
It is an
Very,
important conversation, and you hit it right, perfect, and
It's a vulnerable conversation, and I think
that's why you're quiet. Obviously.
That's not why I'm quiet. I'm in a different space than that. So we'll talk about my space when we're done with your space.
Well, yeah, but I need to talk a little bit about it, but that's all right.
A little bit about it.
Well, now we're out of time, but that's what you were waiting for.
To be continued. To be continued.
Not really, no. But you've been married a long time, and I would imagine that over decades the sex changes. It has to.
Well, some people probably doesn't, or it gets worse, or
Or they break up. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think there is such a connection between who we are and how we evolve as individuals and our sex lives. And I remember saying to a friend, a bit sort of, I was being British and cheeky, and I was like, oh my gosh, are you a prude? And he was like, I don't think I'm a prude. And he has lots of sex, but it's interesting, there's a difference between having lots of sex and having really great sex. And that's the distinction. And when we get older, I think the quality over quantity, it has to be that,
Like everything.
yeah
Right?
yeah
Yeah, that's true.
And that has to be connected to who we are as individuals, who we are as people, you know, what we're able to see. Because you said so perfectly earlier, oh, this is a vulnerable conversation. And
Absolutely.
vulnerable conversations, you know, sex is it's so vulnerable. It's us seeing ourselves
Yeah.
naked.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just in a physical way.
Yeah.
But
You
our
know,
souls.
Yes. And oh my gosh, when two souls merge, then that's what we all want. That is spirituality.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. Right, Anna?
The ultimate connection.
So,
So
what else can we talk about here? We've been kind of...
So I'm divorced.
I'm on my way to being divorced. I've been,
Congratulations.
yeah, thank you. Whoa.
Congratulations.
Yeah, for the second time.
How's that?
Hey.
How's that second time? How's that feel? Does it kind of like, oh well, it's just another one, or it's got?
I know it's the same mistake that happened the first time, the second time. Even though it's a big dam, and it's really humbling. I think the biggest thing, especially because of what I do as a relationship therapist, it's so humbling, and it's making me I'm either kind to myself or I can just forget it. And I think the biggest lesson that I needed to learn this lifetime was humility. I really do.
Really?
Yeah. I don't mean I am a sweet person.
Yeah.
And I think I really needed to learn and want to learn much more about humility, much more about being kind to myself, patient, careful with others. Yeah, I'm on the journey. And it's not easy. It is,
No,
you know,
it's a very painful place to
Yeah.
be.
Like how
And
painful is it?
something. Oh my God. First of all, I don't know how long you were married, but I was married 14 years with someone for 17 years. When I look back, I just wish that I had the tools and the ability to communicate more effectively so that it didn't go to an ugly place, because I was not my best self. I'm not proud of who I was in the ending of the marriage, right? So I learned a lot about myself, which I was not proud to learn, but I learned a lot about myself, what triggers me, and I will never let myself go to that place again. So for me, I just know that I've grown with my communication, and I've grown to be okay with hearing myself speak, and I've realized that I can communicate effectively and what I feel is okay to say, whether the other person accepts it or not. But I have to be able to communicate what I'm feeling at all times with whoever it is I'm in the room with, and especially in a relationship. And I'm just more careful at this point in my life, also because I have an 8-year-old son, with who I bring into my life, because that to me is the most important, because who I bring into my life will affect me, and my son will see that. So to me, that's the ultimate decision right there. The minute I feel that my life is being affected negatively, and I start to affect my motherhood and how I'm dealing with my son, then I know that's like a huge red flag, because then they're controlling me emotionally, right? And I don't want to ever be emotionally controlled to that degree where I'm lying on the floor crying over somebody or a relationship that didn't work out.
Now you had the first marriage, and then you had a relationship after that.
Yes.
We won't get into who or whatever.
Right.
Did you go through the same thing in the second one as you did in the first one? How you dealt with it?
It was much more devastating because my father died in the middle of my divorce.
Oof.
In front of me of a massive heart attack.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
that's
So not only did I file for divorce, my father died in front of me suddenly. And then after all that, I was seeing somebody else, and that just became a mess and a nightmare. And I was devastated by all of it.
Major trauma.
Major trauma. And going through the legal system, dealing with attorneys and courts and trying to raise my 2.5-year-old, it was very traumatizing. So for me, I never want to go back there. And I'm going to make sure that I don't.
Right.
So now everybody has to go through Maurice.
That's funny. I have
If you
two.
need them, I'll lend them
that-
out.
That's great. You can be my number 3
Yes.
because I've got 2 friends, Howard and Nick, and they're like, right, okay, every single guy you see has to go through them. I don't know whether that would be a good idea, so I might just be, Maurice, you might just have to be number
They come
1.
over and I'm like, what's your name? Why do you want to go out with her?
Wait, let me hook you up to a lie detector test right here. Like Meet the Fockers.
Yeah, because, I love talking to people that have been, because, with me, it's been one woman for over 30 years. So, man, divorces for me would be devastating.
Yeah, I would imagine.
I mean,
Interestingly, though, within your relationship, have there been times where the relationship has been challenged?
oh, yeah. I remember the only time it's been challenged was big time. It was just very simple. And I won't get into what was going on, but she wasn't doing something I wanted her to do. And I remember we were in a hotel and she went downstairs to play gamble, and she took forever. And I was upset. And she came in and I'm like yelling or whatever, I was upset. And she goes, very simple, man. I'll never forget. She goes, I can't do this anymore.
Wow.
And it fucking chill right down my back.
Good for her.
Right? She goes, I can't do this anymore. But then you just said like this, I can't do it anymore. And I'm like,
Wow.
and then we had a discussion and stuff. But that scared me.
And
I have to say, I don't do it, but I had been smoking some weed too. So it just really hit me, man.
Magnified.
Yeah. Magnified. That I can't do it anymore. It was like, I want a divorce.
Bomb dropped.
And I've threatened to kill her during a manic episode. She's gone through all that. But that was, like she says, it wasn't my husband, it was somebody else. So that's different. But in this situation, I really believed that if I didn't shape up. And the problem with me is I've gone from one mother to another mother. I can't do anything by myself. I can't cook. I can't do.
Drive.
I can drive, but I can't wash clothes. I can't do anything. So I've been taken care of. But the good thing is, in the last couple of years, I knew that that's not good. So I live in my own place in L.A. I do live with my son, but I'm starting to be more independent just because I know it's healthier for me.
And healthy, how so?
Well, because I always feel like if, God forbid, anything happened, I would not be able to survive. Because I can't do anything, So
You've relied on her so much
Yes.
for everything.
Exactly. So now I'm doing it much less. I even, flew to New York without her. I did have a panic attack though. But I flew to New York, did all that stuff by myself, came back by myself, So I'm starting to do a lot more by myself because I think it's just
Time.
from my state of mind. No pun intended.
And confidence, because it's when we believe in ourselves, what is security? I think security is really being able, is knowing that we'll be able to piece our life back together and take care of ourselves. You know, from it doesn't have to be something dramatic. Of course, I have to go to the dramatic. Piece our life, back together. But taking care of ourselves, I think it's so basic, and some of us haven't been taught that. It's interesting you say about you've gone from one mum to another. If men weren't taught that, and you were clearly a very special son, then, or people weren't taught that, then it is time they learned it, because it's exactly what you're saying, Maurice. The confidence that will come from that is so important, knowing that you can take care of yourself, because then if you can take care of yourself, you can take care of someone else so much better.
Yeah.
And I bet you've become a better father, a better husband, even a better friend.
Yeah. In the last 3 years, I have improved in those areas. There's things that I need help on.
Of course. And what I say to my clients and to all my friends is that, look, the Dalai Lama meditates for 7 hours a day.
Jeez.
He's the Dalai Lama, and he says that is not enough time.
Wow.
For him. Because what is his role? He is and wants to be. He is an enlightened being that wants to be more and more and more and more of an enlightened being. And yet he's meditating for 7 hours a day. So for goodness sake, we've got to give ourselves some kindness and some self-compassion, because we're on a journey. Not everything is going to be learned in this lifetime.
No, that's for sure.
It's too short.
No.
That's why it's so painful.
I saw
Yes. Yes.
There's a documentary on the Dalai Lama on Netflix with the Dalai Lama and somebody else. They got together and they did a whole thing. It was amazing.
Oh,
the other person
man.
was I can't even remember, but it was beautiful. Yeah, 7 hours, man. I can't even meditate. 10 minutes, it just kills me.
Well, you walk.
No, I do that. You know what? Walking's very important for me now. And it wasn't before. I used to jog and run, but now I walk, and it's like, it's good. There's something about it. And then we just walk around the neighborhood,
And you have your dog?
Well, yeah, my dog, yeah.
Dogs are
they're
incredible to teach us about
Pets in general.
Yeah, and
right?
pets in general. I mean, I say I'm looking after a friend's cat at the moment, and the confusion I have with this being, I'm like, you're really not a dog, are you? Because the cat just...
I have 3 cats and one is a dog, I'm convinced.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, the love that you get from,
animals?
it's
Unbelievable.
phenomenal.
It's pure.
We just rescued a dog that they found on the street. Somebody cut its ears off. And I don't understand how that can even be and of course my family, they take it in, which, they should. But so sad how that could happen. But it's dogs, and the dogs, I don't know if the dogs know, or I don't know how it works.
Of course they know.
You think that they have?
They feel the trauma, of course.
Yes. It is
The
traumatic.
sensitive human being with a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's sad. But we have it at the house. Poor guy.
Aww. I mean, well, I'm not surprised.
No, because we got so many.
They have a farm.
A literal farm.
Well, we got 3
ranch?
alpacas, 4 goats,
Horse.
Oh, no, this is a literal farm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, my
Yeah.
a horse. We got dogs. We got.
Oh, wow.
It's in where I live.
That's immaculate. I guess we should beep that out. Sorry.
That's all right. People know, man.
Yeah, I think you've talked about it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like you haven't.
Yeah, I love it out there. It's just so.
Wow.
Oh, it's amazing. I have a goat named Buddy the goat, and I had him when he was little, and he followed me everywhere I went when he was not a puppy. What is it, baby goat? And then I put him on. Somebody said, "But you should put him on Instagram." See what? So he bit my ear, and I said, "Damn!" And it really hurt. Then he gave me a kiss, and then he sneezed on me.
Oh my God.
And it got like 100,000 views. And I said, "Come here, buddy." And I think now he's like, people love him. He's
That's
great.
cute.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
just said, okay, just like my dad. My dad was like 100 views. Okay, come here, Dad.